We are going off the rails. I'm Craig Williams. I'm joined by Denny Sunderly and Rhino Clavin. And today we are going to take one Disney topic and we are just going to talk about it way longer than it deserves to be talked about. So a lot of times when we're talking on the Walt Disney World Edition podcast, people will complain and say that we are just going on and on and on and on, and we are going off the rails with it. So, hey, that's what we're going to do with this too. And today's topic, we are going to go off the rails when talking about festivals. This was inspired by this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged, where we mentioned what's happening down the road at Universal with their Mardi Gras event, what's happening across the coast in California with their upcoming hard ticket event festival happening at Disney California Adventure. And now we're going to really break down the festivals here. Do we like them? Do we need different ones? What do we think about it? Almost like hot takes on it, but we're not going to say hot takes.
Hot takes.
Now I said hot takes 3 times, but we're just going to go off the rails with festivals. So who's going to take us off the rails?
I can start. I'd be glad to. I don't know. Okay. All right. So, wondering if perhaps there needs to be a festival presence in a park that isn't Epcot. Just throwing it out there, wondering if there is, if that should actually occur. We know that all the festivals happen at Epcot currently, and we pretty much only have 6 weeks in a year, maybe, that aren't covered by festivals at Epcot. It's probably a few more than that, but whatever. But what about festival love at other parks? What do you guys think?
I think
100%.
Yeah, it needs to be. I think the problem comes in first and foremost. As I was sitting here and you were saying that, I was thinking about Disney and like, would they really try to have more festivals around? And because I'm sure we'll bring it up, but they kind of have tiptoed into this before. But a big problem with Disney is I feel like they have to be so convoluted about their naming structures in terms of like just everything. So at the Magic Kingdom right now, we have all these cavalcades going down the street. And then over in Epcot, we have promenades. And then over in Hollywood Studios, we have motorcades. And then Animal Kingdom, what do they call the flotillas?
Flotillas.
Yes. So,
flotillas.
But so you can slice it, dice it, however you want to go with it. They're freaking parades. They're all the little mini parades in a way. They're all cavalcades. Like take it and give it to Disney and be like, we have to be really difficult about this. We can't keep it all one and the same with it. So we're going to break it up with the naming. So I feel like, they have done festivals at most of the parks in a way. You could argue that at Magic Kingdom that technically Mickey's Not So Scary Christmas Halloween Party and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Those are like festivals that happen after hours with a hard ticket. And, it has happened before at Hollywood Studios and a little bit at Animal Kingdom as well, too. So, I feel like this is where Disney gets into their heads sometimes where they probably would never even try it because it'd be like, well, festivals, Epcot has the steaks and all the festivals. That's the festival place. So now they're just going to have
Did you say steak?
I did say steak. Now they're going to have to come up with some ridiculous name for how to like insert festivals into a different park. And I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but I feel like that's one thing that will keep them from ever going full festival crazy in other parks and be like, nope. Epcot's got festivals. We're going to have to come up with celebrations at the other parks.
Well, technically they had that because they had Mickey's celebration, right, for his birthday. That was supposed to be what was happening there for the year or whatever. And I have to tell you, the titles of the festivals are ridiculous right now. After they started adding taste to everything, it's Taste of the Festival of the Taste of International Festival of the Arts. Epcot 2021. Yeah. Somewhere it goes in there. So Epcot taste of. I don't even know where it is.
International.
A taste
you got it.
of Epcot International. Insert whatever festival it is. Then.
Yeah.
the hashtag is 250 characters alone. It will never fit on Twitter. Like, but it's one of those where I think back to when I started working at Disney's Hollywood Studios in late 2007. They used to have themed things that happened there. There was a Super Soap Weekend that was all about all the soap opera stars would come down, and they used to warn us like, okay, just so everybody knows, there's going to be an exceptionally large amount of ECVs in the park than we're used to. And I used to be like, what? And they were like, I'm not shaming anybody who needs to use an ECV. This was just the thing where they were like, if you were in the scooter rental business around that time of year, this was your money-making moment because Disney did not have enough that they could give them. So it's like we used to have that. We used to have
Star Wars weekends
for like over a month. Star Wars weekends, yeah.
Mhm.
And I always think like the way Batuu and Galaxy's Edge is set up now, it's really just it's supposed to be an original Star Wars land themed around the new trilogy of movies. Well, okay, so we can still have Star Wars weekend and bring in like Luke, Leia, Vader, all these other characters that we can see, or give me that Jar Jar Binks meet and greet, and put them over by like Echo Lake because he's a Gungan, he's from the water, but like. Just do it on the weekends like they used to. It doesn't have to be a full week, full event from the whole time. But I used to think those were always so fun, and we would keep going. It wasn't like we just went the one weekend. We would keep going. Oh, my watch is very upset with this conversation. Sorry.
She absolutely is.
Yeah, but I was raising my hand too much. I was getting too excited the higher up it goes. But I would love to see that sort of come back, especially considering that it was essentially like the last Star Wars weekend we had. There were so many characters, so many of these like roaming things, and then all of a sudden our Star Wars land is open, and there's like what, 3 characters in there, 4 characters. It's like Chewie, I guess there's Chewie, Rey, Vi, yeah, and then Kylo Ren and the Stormtroopers, and you're like, okay, well, what happened to the hundreds of characters we saw during Star Wars weekends? You still got those costumes. We know you do.
Well, and they don't need the hyperspace hoopla in order to make it a fun event. They don't need a celebrity motorcade with Billy D. Williams looking completely unimpressed at what's happening around him. They don't need the 501st to make constant appearances. A little bit goes a long way. Play some Star Wars music throughout the park. Add in special dishes, unlike what they currently would do if they were trying to celebrate Star Wars, which is we'll put a Kylo Ren cupcake over here, and then we'll put a Chewbacca cupcake over here and a BB-8 cupcake over here and call it a day. Like there's ways to do it where it has an impact on the park, makes it an experience that you want to go and see it without being just like shoved down people's throats and needing to cost them a ton of money. I mean, right when you add in just like food items with it, place an item or two around all the different restaurants, kind of like what they do for Wonderfall Flavors at Disney Springs, and just leave it at that. But make it something special. Make it something that people want. It doesn't even have to be just Star Wars. It can be anything. Why don't we get a better Pixar Fest? Why did California Adventure?
Yeah, I was literally
Disneyland?
just going to bring up Pixar Fest. That's so funny because you were talking about the restaurants having the thing, and I'm like, look at something like Pixar Fest at California at Disneyland Resort, and how it was, or their food and wine that they do at California Adventure. It's like it's not just festival booths in the street that make a festival. It's like what you said. You can have that theme carry through to your favorite restaurants and dishes around and throughout the park, and it's just crazy. Like they know how to do a festival out there. Let me tell you.
It's a celebration of what you're passionate about in the fandom.
Well, and my favorite part of Star Wars weekends were the just the open sessions that they would have with some of the characters. I understand that's going to cost money to pay the talent to be able to come in, but I loved being able to sit down and listen to Billy D. Williams and Ray Park and Warwick Davis. Like that was amazing stuff to kind of be in that big theater, and because you felt like you were seeing some behind the scenes stuff that you don't get to see otherwise. But that's, yes, Pixar Fest, that would be incredible. Something on the level of that, because you roll in with a list of special treats and special things you want to see. And you've got the coordinated bunting hanging from the buildings. It's a cohesive, holistic, global theme. And it, like you're saying, it can be fairly easily done.
I feel like we're very close to getting something with Star Wars happening regularly, because Ashley Eckstein is literally just hanging out at Disney parks on a regular basis now. Just, no VIP tour guide or anything.
No.
Just by myself. Oh, it's Tuesday. Why not go to Walt Disney World? So if she can get like James Arnold Taylor and 2 other people, then just we'll call it Star Wars weekdays.
Let them go back there's nothing going on in the Beauty and the Beast theater right now either. Again,
Right.
We've got a lot of these opportunities. Like even if everything was going on everywhere in the park, we've seen they had the Pixar orchestra. Actually, I think at Star Wars Weekends, that is where like James Arnold Taylor spoke, was the Beauty and the Beast theater. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to just extend. I know we've said Hollywood Studios, but Hollywood Studios has a history of having had a festival-like celebration there. What about, Animal Kingdom? I feel like that would be great,
Yeah, it's an Animal Kingdom has tried at points in times to do hard ticket events that I think have been successful. Like I still talk about Harambe Nights that happened 5-6 years ago, because it was such an amazing event back in Africa. But literally, that's all it was. It was a celebration of the Lion King back in Africa, and that was it. And that park has so many different aspects to it that it would be great to have a festival that actually celebrated beyond just Africa, which I get Africa's easy for them to tackle, but you have Asia right next door, and Asia's pretty big. There's a lot to go over with Asia, and it just feels like a lost opportunity that Animal Kingdom hasn't ever been given a truly great festival, at least to my knowledge. In all the years I've been coming, I don't remember Animal Kingdom ever being a festival place. Just every now and then little touches and themes that they like to place throughout the park. Kind of like when they converted to a nighttime park and they wanted to make sure that everyone knew it was for nighttime, but that's not a festival by any means. That's just extending your hours.
Yeah,
True.
right, yeah.
It's just nighttime. That's all. But yeah, no, you're right. What if we had in, the Asia section of the park, we had different special just food items over there, and then also in the Africa, like special, just a special emphasis almost that would be a month or a month and a half, and there would be interactive things for the kids to be able to be a part of, or storytellers that you could learn a little bit more about the nations that represent that area, the culture and the heritage behind it. I mean, I feel like there is just a depth that's possible there at Animal Kingdom. Maybe more so than some of the other parks, where you could really dig in and get to know that area. Rhino, I'm not sure what they would do with Dino Land, but there could be something. I'm sure.
Could they get Alan Grant in? Probably not.
Oh.
Rights and everything, but yeah,
That would be great.
Alan.
That would be great.
The raptor. But yeah, I know I would love that. I was just thinking while you were talking about how even pre-pandemic, we still had they have all these like food booths that are around everywhere that are never open. That 8 Spoon, Crocodile, whatever it's called, all those ones we know because we would see their menu online. And I remember when Steve was working here, I was like, we're gonna try and go get macaroni and cheese to do a video out of it, and we couldn't. It was never open. And now I'm like, okay, well, we could put those booths to thing. I love what you're talking about, though, celebrating the culture beyond just the culinary part of it, and moving beyond that, and like diving into like more history or something. And that park is just so beautifully like layered in its visual storytelling and the theming of the actual lands you're in, that it feels very ripe for that sort of a thing, something to be as simple as, why did we make it look like this? What does this represent? And how do you bring that about, or whatever, or just a bunch of food and drinks to get people drunk, whatever.
Well, and okay, so stemming off of what you're saying, what if, kind of like you used to be able to do Dine with an Imagineer at Brown Derby, what if What if you could some of the minds behind the park and the design of Animal Kingdom, or just some of their journeys, some of the tales that they could tell on, to those specific countries, those nations, to help understand and bring authenticity to Animal Kingdom. How much fun would that be to hear that behind the scenes stuff? And
Also, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry,
you're fine.
I didn't mean to butt in there.
I was just going to say, we
He's a
need
real
some live
Budinsky.
entertainment back. Oh, gosh. We would
Will
need
the gentleman from Pennsylvania please butt out?
I love it.
I decided how we can work the whistle in more into the show. No, but I think we're even honestly, I think we're going even more in depth than they even have to do to just add a little bit extra, that little bit extra that we want to have come from here. I don't know about you. It's like, I mean, Denny, I know you love Star Wars, and Craig, I think you're familiar with it, but the thing is, like, I like to wear, the thing I love about Galaxy's Edge is how it brought that kind of element of how at Harry Potter, they all have the interactivity of the wands. Like when you get a lightsaber, like wearing that lightsaber, like, oh, it's so fun to wear your lightsaber to the park. Maybe not now because I don't want to get gross because of COVID, but like, it still is like, I want those elements where it encourages you to be a part of the story to be so much more present in some of those other places. Like Festival of the Arts, they give you the paint and they ask you to paint in the mural and stuff like that. Or it's how do you, the person experiencing it, how are you interacting with the story? And I'd like festivals to kind of be that aspect of it, I guess. And drinks so I can get drunk.
Well, that's, y'all have been like sitting here talking about how we need to like be like, oh, let's learn more. And meanwhile, I'm thinking in the back of my head, maybe a different time when we tried recording this and it didn't work out, I made a joke about Pandora being added to a festival, but now like I'm fleshing out in my head how much I want Pandora Nights, where it's basically just like a rave in a way where it's literally the entire place is blacklight essentially. So let's hand out the glow sticks and come in after hours. And like, if you ever got to experience Mad Tea Party at DCA,
I was gonna say Electronica.
Something, Electronica too, anything like that. Like let's turn Pandora into an awesome party after hours. It's the perfect place to do it. And
like that scene in The Matrix Reloaded.
Yes, that one in particular. Only that one. You read my mind. That's what I was thinking of. Matrix Reloaded in 2021. How did you guess?
That's the opening. The opening scene. They're all having a party in that Pandora-looking cave. Whatever.
Yeah. That is very true. But the one thing that I think, even like wrapping this all around too, that makes me like really take it back to EPCOT in it, is that EPCOT gets chosen for its festivals, I think, because it's a natural place. Like when they're trying to do, international festival, food and wine festival, it makes sense. They can have booths from all these different countries around the world. But when you think about World Showcase, the more I'm starting to think about how terrible that park is set up for it. I mean, the jokes have been going on for years that you're eating off trash cans and they add on extra tables and it's still not enough. Meanwhile, Universal watched from the sidelines for years. And so when they're finally ready to go full crazy on a food festival, they added so many tables and places to set your food on. It really points out that like EPCOT's not a great place necessarily. It's a big walking track for people, and these booths are just pushed off to the side. And when it's busy, it all has a big impact, especially right now while we're leaving 6 feet in between people. It makes it a nightmare to get through this park. So I don't think that any of the other parks necessarily are like out of the running, because EPCOT's this, EPCOT doesn't have any benefit in terms of space over these other places. I mean, it does in terms of how many booths they can fit in around the area. It's massive. They can fit in a lot, but I don't need 30 booths in Animal Kingdom set up to have a fun festival. Give me 10, 12, just something different, something extra.
Do what you said earlier. Do a couple of those booths and then add give me a special element at Satuli Canteen. Give me a special item from what's the place I like to drink the Tempting Tigress at? From Nomad Lounge. Like use the structures you have and spice it up. It up.
Spice up
and
our
it could
lives.
be, I mean, it wasn't for a festival, but 2 summers ago, Hollywood Studios threw a few booths, 3 different food booths around Echo Lake. And that was a big deal. Like, that was a lot of fun because it was something new. People just want something new and different, and they weren't here forever. It was a limited time. But it was just neat to have something different.
And
not everything has to be like permanent fixtures, permanent structures. It's just fun to be have that little temporary. What would Jackie say if she was here? That little bit of pixie dust.
Yep.
I'm gonna make myself nauseous.
A little
kidding,
time
Jackie,
off helps refreshen it. That's the problem with EPCOT, is that it's stuck in this constant festival cycle that even when the summer's happening and not a lot, there's not festivals going on necessarily. That's the only time for it to breathe. Like, give the park time to not be all about festivals. Spread the love over to the other parks, and then when you come back with the festivals at EPCOT, it's going to make it that much more fresh and inviting. I know people don't visit every year. They're not locals. They don't have DVC, so they can't come whenever they want. But I mean, it's
what's wrong with adding that little bit of touch for local people, though? It's not that. That's how you get them to spend the money, right?
I mean, there is definitely that. But even with that, it's not saying when it comes back that it's not going to be as good as it was before. I think a little bit of a break can make it better. Generate some new ideas. They're constantly focusing on, well, we sell a lot of food and merchandise and we need to just double down on that every year. And that is great. That's how you make money. That's how you keep it afloat. I have no doubt that the festivals help the parks overall keep them afloat because it's easy money. I mean, a small tiny beer for $4.50 does not cost $4.50, and anyone who believes that, I don't think they've ever had a beer before. And like, all this stuff is just marked up so much that it really helps, and it drives that short-term craze of they might never make another Figment or Orange Bird piece of merchandise ever again, so I have to have it now, and I need it or it's going to be gone forever. And I think there was a time where that argument could have been made, but Disney has long gotten off that bandwagon. We will see Figment and Orange Bird long after they're probably completely eliminated from the parks, and it's just that they keep building on that level that they already made, and I think that's great. But sometimes it's fun to step back, and as Pete likes to do with our website constantly, just throw a little dynamite under it and make us think outside the box and maybe change it up. And you don't know what you're missing out on until you actually are willing to change it a little bit. But it's scary. They have a lot of money on the line. So it's one thing. It's easy for us to sit here and go off the rails on it and act like it's simple, but it's not our money that's going into it. Maybe Rhino's.
Right.
He's an investor.
Famously, I am the original backer of Food and Wine Festival. Yeah. From infantry when it started, when I was a tiny little boy. I don't even know. How old is that festival at this point? 20 years, 25 years?
And it's 20 something.
It was a big anniversary. It's 20 something. I guess I could have invested all of my lunch money into it at that point. I don't know.
Half the people who are YouTube famous were not born when this festival started. The Food and Wine Festival, that is.
YouTube famously born because of the Food and Wine Festival, because people needed to see their food. So they were like, is there a medium we could do this on?
I'm not sure if that's accurate, but I'll embrace it nonetheless.
I'm positive most things I said were not. So, yeah.
So I think... Well, I believe that means we're at the end. I think we recapped it well here.
Train's leaving.
Festivals. Yeah, the train's getting back on the track here. Festivals need to keep happening. Maybe give EPCOT a break. Spread the love around to the other parks. Go outside the box a little bit. Try something different. Be a little bit new. And just keep the experience fresh and fun for everyone, whether it's your first visit or your 100th visit. It never hurts to spice things up a little bit, right?
Variety is the spice of life.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Otherwise, it gets boring. It's like what you said. Yeah.
So okay, that was us going off the rails.
This whistle was one of the last things I bought before the parks closed down. It was $13. I'm shocked. I bought a whistle for $13.
That is surprising,
Well,
Rhino. But
Just
look at
happy
it
we're on this
now.
journey.
Yeah, if you did not file your taxes yet, then at least now you have a write-off for business purposes. So,
For this whistle.
it all works out. So
Hope you save the receipt.
yeah, you better save that receipt. So okay, that's off the rails. We're getting back on the rails. We'll see you again soon. The next time we decide to go off the rails on something relevant to the Diz Unplugged. But this has been fun. I've enjoyed my time talking to you, Denny, and you, Rhino, and I hope everyone enjoyed out there. So please let us know your thoughts about festivals down in the comments below, or if you're listening to this because it went on an audio feed for some reason, please reach out to us on social media, whether it's the Diz or our personals. Go ahead, chat us up on there. And if you are watching this on YouTube, of course, hit that thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you're listening to this again because it got released, make sure you're subscribed to wherever it ended up on. I genuinely have no idea, but I think that's it. Anyone else? It ended up on Craigslist?
It's funny because your name's Craig. I just realized that.
Wow. Fantastic.
Wow.
Perfect.
And we're back off the rails again.
Just like that.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.